Welcome to Mother's Revenge, where heartfelt stories touch your soul and may even bring you to tears. The billionaire pointed at me and laughed. You, a worthless waiter trying to communicate with my daughter. His friends joined in mocking me. But when I finally spoke up, the entire restaurant went silent. What happened next didn't just humiliate him, it destroyed his reputation forever. This is my story. You won't believe how this ends. Every second matters. So don't skip ahead. If you love stories where arrogance gets destroyed, hit that like button right now and subscribe. This gets intense. Let's go. My name is Lucas Bennett and I'm 27 years old. I live alone in a tiny studio apartment on the east side of Seattle, the kind of place where the walls are so thin you can hear your neighbors breathing. I have no family, no wife, no kids. It's just me surviving day by day, paycheck to paycheck. Most nights I come home exhausted, heat up some instant noodles and collapse on my bed, wondering if life will ever get easier. I work at the Silver Meridian, an upscale restaurant where rich people come to be seen. You know the type: expensive chandeliers, white tablecloths, wine that costs more than my monthly rent. I've been working there for almost 2 years now, and honestly, it's been the hardest 2 years of my life. The customers treat us like we're invisible, and my coworkers aren't much better. They gossip about me behind my back, calling me awkward and saying things like, "No wonder he's alone." My manager takes advantage of me too, always giving me the worst shifts and the most difficult tables because he knows I won't complain. I can't afford to complain. I need this job. 3 days before that night, I received an eviction notice slipped under my door, $2,450 due immediately, or I'd be out on the street. That morning, I checked my bank account. I had $190 left. That was it. That was all I had in the world. I sat on my kitchen floor and cried for 20 minutes before pulling myself together. I had to go to work. I had to smile and serve people who wouldn't even look me in the eye. I had no choice. Friday evening arrived like it always does, the restaurant's busiest night. The kitchen was chaos, orders flying in faster than we could keep up. I was already exhausted from working a double shift when my manager called all the waitstaff together. His face was serious, almost nervous. "Grant Whitmore is dining with us tonight," he announced. The room went dead silent. Everyone knew that name. Grant Whitmore, 48 years old, tech billionaire worth over $8.4 billion. He owned half of Seattle, including the building our restaurant was in. He was also notorious for being absolutely ruthless to service workers. Stories about him were legendary, making waiters cry, getting people fired for the smallest mistakes, leaving insulting tips just to humiliate people. My manager's eyes landed on me. "Lucas, you're taking his table." My stomach dropped. The other servers looked relieved, even smirking. One of them whispered just loud enough for me to hear, "Good luck. He's going to eat you alive." My hand started trembling, but I nodded. What else could I do? I needed this job. I needed the money. I just had to get through one night. Just survive one more night. When Grant Whitmore arrived, the entire atmosphere of the restaurant changed. A black Rolls-Royce pulled up outside and 2 massive bodyguards stepped out first, scanning the area like we were in a war zone. Then he emerged, tall, imposing, wearing a charcoal suit that probably cost more than I'd earn in 5 years. His hair was slicked back perfectly, and his eyes were cold, the kind of cold that comes from never being told no. He walked into the restaurant like he owned it, which technically he did. People recognized him immediately, whispers spreading through the room like wildfire. He wasn't alone. 3 friends accompanied him, all wealthy, all loud, all laughing obnoxiously at jokes that probably weren't even funny. Grant snapped his fingers at our hostess without even looking at her. "My usual table. Now." They sat down at the best table in the house, immediately ordering the most expensive wine on our menu. I took a deep breath, grabbed my notepad, and approached them. "Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to Grant Cut Me Off before I could finish." Champagne. The 2008 Dom Perignon. You know what that is? Or do I need to spell it out for you? His friends burst out laughing. I felt my face flush with embarrassment, but I swallowed it down. Yes, sir. And for everyone else, they rattled off their orders, expensive steaks, rare preparations demanding modifications, barely even glancing at me. I wrote everything down, staying professional, staying invisible. About 10 minutes later, a young woman walked into the restaurant alone. She looked completely different from the billionaire and his friends. She was wearing casual clothes, a red hoodie and jeans, and she moved hesitantly like she didn't want to be there. This was Emily Whitmore Grant's 22-year-old daughter. I noticed immediately that she was wearing hearing aids in both ears. She spotted her father's table and took a deep breath before walking over slowly. What happened next made my heart sink. Emily stood beside the table for a full minute while Grant continued laughing and talking with his friends. He didn't acknowledge her, didn't even look up. Finally, Emily gently touched his shoulder. Grant jerked around, clearly annoyed. "You're late. Sit down and don't embarrass me." That was it. No hello, no hug, nothing. Emily sat down at the far end of the table, completely isolated from the group staring down at her hands. I walked back to the table with their champagne and began taking the rest of their orders. When I got to Emily, I smiled warmly. "And for you, Mom?" She didn't respond. She was looking at her phone, completely unaware I was speaking to her. I tried again, a bit louder. "Excuse me, what would you like to order?" Still nothing. I stepped closer and tried one more time. That's when Grant noticed. He started laughing loud and cruel. "Don't waste your breath, sweetheart. She can't hear you." His friends immediately joined in laughing like it was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. "She's deaf." "Hello, anyone home?" Grant actually waved his hand mockingly in front of her face. The laughter grew louder. I looked at Emily's face and saw it turn bright red with shame. My heart broke for her. I moved around so I was standing directly in front of Emily, where she could see my face clearly. I spoke slowly and distinctly, making sure she could read my lips. "Hi, Em Lucas. What would you like to eat?" Emily looked surprised, like she wasn't used to people treating her with basic respect. She pointed to the menu and said, "Grilled salmon, please." Her voice was slightly different the way some deaf people speak, but perfectly understandable. I smiled. "Great choice. Anything to drink." Before Emily could answer, Grant interrupted. "Shall have water and make it quick. We don't have all night." I nodded and turned to leave, but Emily tried to get my attention. She waved her hand slightly and began making signs with her hands, asking me something in sign language. I didn't understand. I didn't know sign language, but I could tell she was trying to communicate. I shook my head apologetically and gave her a kind smile, trying to show her I wished I could understand. That's when Grant slammed his glass down on the table. The sound echoed through the restaurant. "Oh, this is rich. Look at this." His friends stopped talking and looked over, grinning. Grant stood up loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "Are you seriously trying to talk to my deaf daughter with your hands?" I felt my face burning. "Sir, I was just trying to help." He cut me off. "Help you? A minimum wage waiter." His friends started laughing again, louder this time. Grant continued, and every word felt like a punch. "What makes you think you can communicate with her? Do you have a degree in special education? Are you a speech therapist?" I tried to respond. "No, sir. But..." He didn't let me finish. "Exactly. You're nobody." He turned to his friends performing for them. "Now, can you believe this? He thinks he's qualified." One of his friends chimed in. "Maybe he learned from TV," another added. "Or maybe he thinks he's a miracle worker." They were all laughing so hard, and I could feel dozens of eyes on me from other tables. Grant stepped closer to me, using his height to intimidate me. His voice was dripping with contempt. "Let me make this very clear, sweetheart. You are a waiter. You bring food. That's it. You don't talk to my daughter. You don't look at my daughter. And you certainly don't try to communicate with her like you're something special." Then he said the words that changed everything. So shut your mouth, do your job, and talk to my deaf daughter like a normal person. Use your voice. Stop encouraging her disability." The entire restaurant went silent. Every conversation stopped. At least 60 people were watching us now. I looked at Emily and saw tears forming in her eyes, her face red with humiliation. My hands were shaking. Grant was smirking, thinking he'd won, thinking he'd put me in my place. His friends were grinning, waiting to see me cry and run away. I could see my manager in the corner, his face pale, shaking his head at me like he was begging me not to say anything. But I looked at Emily again. This young woman, barely more than a kid, being treated like garbage by her own father, being mocked, being told she was broken, that she needed to be fixed. And something inside me snapped. "No." My voice came out quieter than I expected, but in that silent restaurant everyone heard it. Grant's eyebrows shot up. "What did you just say?" I took a breath and said it louder. I said no. He laughed, but it sounded forced now. "Excuse me, do you know who you're talking to?" I met his eyes directly. "Yes." "A bully." Gasps rippled through the nearby tables. Grant's smile disappeared. "Watch your mouth." I cut him off and my voice grew stronger with every word. "No, you watch your mouth. That young woman is your daughter, not your employee, not your property. Your daughter. And you just humiliated her in front of a room full of strangers." Grant tried to speak, but I didn't let him. "How dare you lecture me about my daughter?" I raised my voice over his. "Someone needs to, because clearly nobody else will." The words were pouring out of me now. Everything had been holding back for years. You mock her for being deaf like it's a joke. You parade her in here and then ignore her, isolate her, shame her, and when someone tries to show her basic kindness, you attack them, you mock them. Grant's face was turning red now. "You have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't back down. Don't I? I can see exactly what's happening here. You're embarrassed. Not of her be her. You're embarrassed that your daughter doesn't fit your perfect billionaire image." I turned away from Grant and looked directly at Emily. I spoke clearly so she could read my lips. "You don't need to be fixed. There is nothing wrong with you. Being deaf isn't a weakness. It's just a different way of experiencing life." Emily was staring at me now, tears streaming down her face, but something had changed in her eyes. She looked like someone had just told her she mattered. I turned back to Grant. "The only person at this table who should be ashamed is you." Suddenly, someone started clapping. An older man at a nearby table stood up. "He's absolutely right." More people joined in. A woman stood up, pointing at Grant. "How dare you treat your daughter like that?" Another voice called out, "And treat him like that. He was just being kind." The applause grew louder and louder. Grant looked around in shock. His friends had stopped laughing suddenly, looking uncomfortable. The entire restaurant was against him. Then Grant exploded. "Shut up, all of you. Do you know how much money I spend on her treatments? Do you know how many specialists, therapists, doctors I've hired," I spoke over the noise, "to fix her, to fix your ego?" He pointed at me, his finger shaking with rage. "I am trying to give her a normal life." I shook my head. "No, you're trying to erase who she is." Grant's voice became threatening. "You're fired. You'll never work in this city again. I own half the restaurants in Seattle. He'll make sure of it." That's when a new voice cut through everything. "Stop. Just stop, Dad." Everyone turned. Emily was standing up. Her voice was shaking but clear. Grant snapped toward her. "Sit down, Emily." But she didn't sit. "No, I'm done sitting down. I'm done being quiet while you treat me like I'm broken. I'm done pretending you actually care about me." Grant's face went pale. "Don't be ridiculous." Emily's voice grew stronger. "I'm deaf, Dad. Not stupid. Not broken. Deaf. And you know what? I'm proud of it. I'm part of an amazing community. The only thing I'm ashamed of is you." She looked at me and there were tears in her eyes, but also something like gratitude. "Thank you for being braver than I was." Then Emily walked out of the restaurant. The entire room erupted in applause, people standing cheering, shouting in support. I found out later that someone had filmed the whole thing. A young woman who was herself deaf had recorded it on her phone and posted it online with the caption, "Waiter destroys billionaire for mocking his deaf daughter." Within 30 minutes, it had 120,000 views. Within 2 hours, over 2.3 million. By the next morning, it had 28 million and was trending #1 worldwide. News outlets picked it up. Billionaire's shocking treatment of deaf daughter exposed. The comments were overwhelming. This broke my heart and then put it back together. That young woman deserves so much better. Everyone needs a Lucas in their life. The video spread through the deaf community like wildfire, shared and reshared thousands of times. Grant Whitmore woke up the next morning to complete disaster. His phone had over 200 missed calls. His PR team told him it was catastrophic. His board of directors demanded he resign. The company's stock dropped 31% in just 3 hours. Major clients canceled contracts. Investors pulled out millions. His social media accounts were flooded with over 500,000 angry comments. There were protests outside his company headquarters. The deaf community organized boycotts of all his businesses. His reputation built over decades was destroyed in one night. Meanwhile, I woke up to thousands of messages. Job offers from over 50 restaurants each, offering better pay and better conditions than I had ever had. The deaf community had started a fundraiser for me. He stood up for us when it cost him everything. It raised $410,000. News channels wanted interviews. Talk shows sent invitations. But the message that meant the most came from Emily. "Can we meet? I want to thank you properly." We met at a small coffee shop a week later. Emily looked different, lighter somehow, like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. "I moved out," she told me. "I'm living on my own now. I cut contact with my father. I'm done with his toxicity." She smiled a real genuine smile. "I'm joining deaf community programs. I'm taking ASL classes. I'm finally accepting myself." I felt tears in my eyes. "I'm so proud of you." She reached across the table and took my hand. "None of this would have happened without you. You gave me permission to be proud of who I am." 3 months have passed since that night. I'm working at a beautiful new restaurant where I'm treated with respect. I'm making 3 times what I made before. I'm taking sign language classes. Emily is actually teaching me, and we've become close friends. I see her thriving now, surrounded by people who accept her, who celebrate her. She's happy in a way I don't think she ever was before. As for Grant Whitmore, I saw a news article last week. He stepped down as CEO of his company. His business empire is crumbling. He lost everything that mattered, his reputation, his company, and most importantly, his daughter. Standing up that night cost me my job, but staying silent would have cost me my soul. Money, power, status. None of it matters if you lose your humanity. And sometimes the smallest voice can bring down the biggest giant. Sometimes all it takes is one person refusing to stay quiet, one person choosing kindness over fear, one person saying enough is enough. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and subscribe for more powerful true stories. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment. Have you ever stood up to someone powerful? What happened? He'll see you in the next one.